Hello, I'm Will, this is Mike, we're the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 63 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine today. With this magazine we got 5 Judicators for the Stormcast Eternals, and if you want to see them in the battle you can skip ahead to the battle report using the timecode in the description or the chapter bars if you want to. We'll have a look inside the issue first. First up, we've got the background on Judicators. These are part of the warrior chambers, a bit like Liberators, but these ones are armed with ranged weaponry. They can be part of various formations that combine their fighting ability with other parts of the Stormcast Stormhost. There's a bit on the next page about the various ranged weapons they can have, with bows and crossbows of various sorts. And apparently they're also blessed with the ability to detect evil wherever it is. And there's a little story here about how they see through the deception of a vampire lord who tries to propose an alliance to the Knights Excelsior. So a good thing they were there. Then we have some more Forces of Destruction, the Gloomspike Gits. We've seen these before, but there's a bit more about them. There's a diminutive greenskins who, although just as warlike as their larger Orruk kin, are also fairly weedy, so they prefer trickery and cunning. On the back, a bit about the Loon Bosses, who are the leaders of the Gits tribes. The Gobblepalooza, which is a collection of so-called wise grots that advise the leaders of the Moon Clan. And a bit more about Scragrot, although he claims to have prophetic powers. In fact, he keeps a load of prophets and seers locked up in a load of caverns and passes their ramblings off as his own in order to appear to be able to predict the future. Then we're on to the build guide for the Judicators. These are a multi-part kit. You can technically assemble them in a variety of ways, although their poses are all quite similar.
I should note that you should pick either crossbows or regular bows and make all of one each. You can't mix and match.
So here's the instructions to build them with bows, and you can arm one of them with a shock bolt bow, which is a slightly more powerful bow. You've got to be careful because it does look very similar to the normal bow. It has a slightly different arrowhead and a slightly different design to the bow, so make sure you get the right piece. You can technically give it to the prime if you want to, although the build guide doesn't tell you to do that here. And on the next page there's also how to put them together with crossbows, and they just have slightly different arm pieces to do that. There's the completed ones with crossbows on there, including the one with the Thunderhead crossbow. Then we have the painting guide for them, and they're very straightforward. They're just like the Stormcast we've painted before. They don't have any particularly tricky parts on them, because they don't have a lot of the robes that some of the Stormcast do. This is just a standard Stormcast painting guide, including a bit about how to paint the crossbows, which are very similar to the Castigators crossbows, actually. And there they are, finished there. But that's it for the contents of this issue, so now we'll be on to our battle.
Now we have some more rules to learn before we can get into our game. So in our previous issue we learned about allegiance abilities. In this issue we're learning about artifacts of power. So if you are playing with the allegiance abilities, you can choose to give one of your heroes an artifact of power. And if you have any War Scroll battalions, each War Scroll battalion will give you another artifact. Here you have the ones for the order side, so there's 3 options. First up we have the Quicksilver Potion, which allows you to once per battle, at the start of the combat phase, have the bearer use the potion, which lets them fight first in the combat phase rather than later in the turn. The Relic Blade, which allows you to pick one of the bearer's melee weapons and increase its damage by 1. And then the Phoenix Stone, which allows the bearer to regain a wound at the start of each hero phase. So that includes the opponent's one as well. Then on the next page you can see tutorials on how they work. So here the Quicksilver Potion is being used by the Lord Arcanum to fight Reikenor first. And you can see here he does D3 damage with his Aether Stave plus 1 from the Relic Blade. So he has a D3 plus 1. And here he is regaining wounds. And again, do note that it means every hero phase, not just your own hero phase. Then the artifacts for death, we have the Cloak of Mist and Shadows, which allows the bearer at the start of any combat phase, you can effectively just take them off the battlefield and then put them back anywhere you want, as long as it's within 12 inches of their starting location and more than 3 inches away from an enemy model. So quite handy for getting some extra movement or getting someone out of combat you don't want them to be in. The Black Amulet, which is a once per battle item. In your hero phase you can target an enemy unit within 12 inches of the bearer and then inflict a number of mortal wounds equal to the number of the current battle round, so more powerful later in the game. And then the Tomb Blade, where you pick one of the bearer's melee weapons and then if you roll a wound roll of 6+, you can heal a wound that's been allocated to a friendly death model within 6 inches of the bearer. And once again, tutorials for all 3 here. It does note the example using the Cloak of Mist and Shadows for less durable heroes like the Guardian of Souls to help keep them safe. Then you have the War Scroll for the Judicators. They're the same stat line as the usual Stormcast stat line of a 5-inch move, 2 wounds, 4+ saves, 7 bravery. Like the Castigators, the Judicator Prime hits on 2s rather than 3s. You have the weapon profiles for both of their options, either the crossbows or the regular bows. So Skywalt bows have a single attack with a 24-inch range, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s with Martial Rend. While the Shockbolt bow has the same profile, but you can see down below the Shockbolt bow actually gets D6 hits, so it works like the Ballista when it gets an ordinary hit. You have the stats for the crossbows as well, which might be slightly better against Nighthaunt. The regular crossbows can get an extra attack if the unit doesn't move, and the Thunderbolt crossbow doesn't roll a hit roll. Instead, you roll a single dice, subtracting 1 if you're targeting a monster, and then if your roll is equal to or less than the number of moles in the target unit, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. And then there are some extra rules, like they can reroll hit rolls of 1 against Chaos units. Obviously that won't come into effect in this magazine. And again, tutorials for all of these on the next page. And now we have some little background for our scenario where a Lord-Relictor, Lord-Relictors are usually in charge of maintaining their Stormhost relics, and this one has finally been allowed to enter Forbidden Vaults to choose one to give to his companions to use in battle. Obviously he has to choose carefully, and we have the army lists, and this is fairly similar to our previous game, so we're not going to go over them here. And then on to our actual game, Death's Bounty, where a patrol of Stormcast Eternals has been ambushed by a similar Nighthaunt patrol, led by someone wielding a powerful artefact. Luckily the Stormcast are one of their own, hopefully that can tip the balance. And so we have the Realm of Fireball just on its own. Each side gets to pick 3 heroes and 2 troops choices, and the game will last for 4 battle rounds, and we each get a victory point each time we slay an enemy unit. The Stormcast gain 3 victory points if they slay the Nighthaunt Artifact Bearer, and the Nighthaunt gain a victory point each time the Artifact Bearer slays an enemy unit, in addition to the one you already get. The Nighthaunt player sets up the first unit, and so we'll come back after we set up the battlefield. We'll do some quick army overviews before we actually get into the game. So here's my choices. I'm going to start with the Knight of Shrouds, who'll be my Artifact Bearer. I'm going to give him the Tomb Blade, since that might combo with his Sword of Stolen Hours, and it'll help keep everything alive, hopefully. We'll have the Spirit Torment, a Lord Executioner, and then for my 2 troop choices, I'm going to pick the unit of Hexface and a unit of Spirit Hosts. And even though I could make these a War Scroll Battalion, I'm just taking these units together because for the War Scroll Battalion, the 3 Spirit Hosts need to be a single unit each, and that would basically be easy victory points for the Stormcast, so I'd rather not give away victory points easily. And here we have the Stormcast army for this game.
So the 3 heroes I've picked are the Lord-Relictor, the Knight Azeroth, and the Knight Questor. I think all of which were mentioned in the fiction, so seemed appropriate. The Knight Questor will have my artifact of power. He's going to have the Relic Blade, so that just gives the +1 damage to his 1 melee weapon. And then for my troops I've picked the unit of 5 Judicators, since they're new. This one here is the one with the Shockbolt bow. And then a unit of 5 Sequitors with 2 Great Maces and the Prime with the shield.
Right, here we are with the board set up. I'll go over my deployment first. I have the Spirit Host with the Lord Executioner and the Spirit Torment, and then we have the Hex Host with the Knight of Shrouds.
And over on my side, starting from the bottom, we've got the Lord-Relictor and the Knight Azeroth, the unit of Judicators, the Knight Questor in the middle, and then the Sequitors up at the top.
So the Stormcast won the previous game, so they can roll off for a triumph.
Number 1.
So yeah, that triumph is reroll failed hit rolls, and then we're going to roll off to see who goes first in the first battle round. I got a 3.
And a 1.
I'm actually going to let the Stormcast go first. I won't be able to charge if I move up, and the Judicators will be in shooting range anyway. So we'll head into Stormcast turn 1.
Nothing happens in my hero phase apart from gaining a command point, and in the movement phase the Judicators have moved forward about an inch to get the back rank in range, and the heroes are just shuffled around a bit and the Sequitors move forward. Don't want to get too close because I've got the ranged advantage. The Lord-Relictor ran because he's really slow, and the Lord-Relictor is my general incidentally, I didn't say that in deployment. But then we'll be on to the shooting phase. And the Judicators are going to shoot at the Hex Wraiths, so they're all in range. We'll start with the Shockbolt bow, which is the one that does extra hits, but it has 1 shot that hits on a 3. It did hit, so it turns into D6 hits. 5. But then we'll roll the other bows as well, because they all have the same wound profile. So these are the hits. The Prime hits on 2 with the black dice, so that's 4 hits, so 9 total. 9 hits, wounding on 3 hits. 4.
4 plus save for the Hex Wraiths. Oh, I made all of them.
But I can't do anything else in my turn, so that's the end.
Then we'll be on to Nighthaunt turn 1. Well, in my turn it's really simple as well. I gain a command point in the hero phase, and then I used it in the movement phase. All of these units down here ran, the Spirit Host, the Lord Executioner and the Spirit Torment. Spirit Torment only rolled 1, so I used the command point to get a 6. And then up at the top, the Hex Wraiths and the Knight of Shrouds just moved up a little bit normally, so we're just over 12 inches away from the Stormcast. And I didn't mention either, but the Knight of Shrouds is my general. But that's actually going to be it for this turn. I'm rolling off at the start battle round 2. 2. Both got a 2, so it's a tie, so I get to pick who goes first, and I think I'll go first this battle round. So we head into Nighthaunt, turn 2. So movement phase, we're all just going to move up normally. Going to be a lot of charging in the charge phase. So in the charge phase, I'm going to start with the spirit hosts. So they get a 10. So the spirit hosts will finish their charge like that. Then the hex race will charge. And they get a 6. So 6 inches is enough to get the hex race in like that. And finally the Knight of Shrouds is going to try and charge. And he gets a 5. So the Knight of Shrouds is going to charge into the Night Quest all like that. And then that'll be all my charges, so I'll be on to the combat phase.
So at the start of that, I'm going to do power to shields with the Secretors.
Okay, well before that, I'm going to spend my command point to use Lord of Geists. And I'm going to put it on the Hex Race. Give them all an extra attack with both of their hooves and their scythes. I'm going to pick the Hex Race to go first, because the Secretors are probably the most dangerous unit to be stuck in melee with. So we have 15 attacks with the Hex Race scythes that hit on 4s, and 6s inflict a mortal wound. There's a couple of 6s, and 5 regular hits. And the regular hits wound on 3s, getting 4 wounds.
So that leaves me with 5+ saves, rerolling 1s, 2s and 3s from power shields. So I can reroll those 2 fails, but not that 4. No, nothing better. So 5 wounds total, including the mortal wounds.
And we have 15 attacks from the horses, hitting on 4s. 7 hits, wounding on 5s. Oof, 4 wounds.
4+ saves, rerolling fails. Reroll the 2 fails. Oh, they all succeeded.
Yeah. So that's 5 damage in total.
So we'll lose this one and this one, being the 2 normal people. Oh, and we'll put a wound on this Secretor. And then my pick, we're going to do the Night Questor. He'll just pile in like that, get a bit further forward and leave a bit more space for the Judicators. And then he's going to put all his attacks on the Knight of Shrouds because he gets to reroll hits against him. So 4 attacks hitting on 3s, rerolling because he's a hero, so I can reroll those 2s into, so 3 hits. Wounding on 3s, 6s do 3 damage. No,
well,
2 6s and a 1.
2 4+ saves for the Knight of Shrouds. Made both. Phew. That would have killed him, possibly. I'm going to pick the Spirit Host to go next. And they are within 12 inches of the Spirit Torment. And they're going to put one of their attacks on the Lord-Relictor. 18 attacks, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, and 6s do a mortal wound. So we've got 3 mortal wounds and 3 regular hits, and then 3 1s to reroll.
No.
Getting 2 more 6s and a regular hit. But that's going to be 5 mortal wounds, which is going to be enough to kill him.
So that just takes him out outright.
And that'll be a victory point for the Nighthaunt for killing an enemy unit.
I'll pick the Judicators to go, because if they move out of the way, the Night Azeroth will be able to get in, so they're going to pile in. So they'll pile in like this. These 4 over here can attack the Spirit Hosts, and this one was closest to this Hex Race, so he just piled in to get a bit closer and is within range. They have 1 attack each with their Storm Gladii. So we'll do the 4 on the Spirit Hosts first, hitting on 3s. Rerolling that 1 because of the Night Azeroth, so 4 hits, and wounding on 3s as well, 3 wounds. So it was wounding on 4s, but it was still 3 wounds.
Yep, 4+ save for Spirit Hosts. Made 2 of them. And then, since Spirit Hosts are within 6 of a Nighthaunt hero, I get to possibly ignore it for all a 6. Nope.
And the 1 attack on the Hex Race hits on a 3? No.
Put a wound on this Spirit Host on the end. So I'll pick the Knight of Shrouds to go, and he'll put all of his attacks on the Night Questor. So the Knight of Shrouds has 4 attacks with his Tomb Blade. Hitting on 3s, getting 3. Wounding on 3s. And he got 1 wound.
So 4+ save, rolling 1s and 2s. He's fine.
And then there's 2 attacks on the Knight of Shroud Steed. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s because of the Spirit Torment. He got a hit. Wounds on a 5. Nope.
And then I've just got my 2 remaining units, so I'll pick the Secretors to go first, I suppose. I think I might use my Triumph at this point to let them re-roll hits, because they've got power to shields on at the moment, and I'm quickly losing models. I'll do the Great Maces first. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 6s to do 3 hits. No 6s, but I can re-roll that 1. I would have been able to anyway. No. 3 hits, wounding on 3s, getting 2.
4+ saves for Hex Race. Failed both, so... And on a 6 I can ignore. Oh, I got a 6, that's only 1 Hex Race will die.
And then the Prime has 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. Reroll 1, I could anyway. Okay. Wounding on 3s, 2.
4+ saves. Made 1, failed 1. 6+ to ignore. Nope, so 4 damage. And I'll take away these 2 Hex Race. All in the end. And then the Night Azeroth gets to go.
Yes, and so he'll just pile in like this, so getting in range of a Hex Wraith. 4 attacks hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s with himself, so I'm going to re-roll that 1. That was a miss.
1.
So 1 hit only. Wounding on 3. It did.
4+ save. Nope. 6+ to ignore. Nope, that's a 3, so that's another damage to a Hex Wraith. That one. But that is it for the combat phase. Yeah, these Judicators have to make a battle shock test.
I lost 2, so on a 6, 1 run away. No, I could re-roll it anyway though because of my Allegiance ability.
And that's it for Nighthaunt turn 2, on to Stormcast turn 2.
So I gain a command point, and then the Knight Azeroth will use his Light of Azir to do mortal wounds to everything within 8 inches. That's everything here.
Yeah, the Hex Wraiths, the Knight of Shrouds, and the Spirit Hosts.
Do the Hex Wraiths first, D3. They take 2.
Ignoring them on 6s. Or I ignored 1, so that wounded Hex Wraith will die. I'll take him away at the end.
Knight of Shrouds takes 1.
Ignores it on a 6. Nope.
And Spirit Hosts take 2.
Ignoring on a 6. Oh, that's important, I got 1. That Spirit Host takes a wound. So wounded Hex Wraith is destroyed, and then the Knight of Shrouds takes a wound and goes down to 5.
I think everyone's going to stay where they are in the movement phase. Even the Judicators are going to stay in melee. So that means in the shooting phase, they can shoot at the Spirit Hosts. We'll do the big bow. Hits on a 3. It doesn't, but it can reroll once because of the Knight Azeroth. So it hits, which is D6 for 2, and 4 other shots. The prime missed, but he can reroll into a hit, so 1 miss. So that's 5 hits total.
Yep.
Wounding on 3s. In 3.
4 plus save. Made all of them.
On to the combat phase. At the start of it, you do power 2 weapons with the Judicators this time. And then I will pick them to go first, actually, yeah. We'll just pile in a tiny bit, and then attack the Hex Wraiths. Big maces, hit it on 3s, re-rolling. We're going to re-roll 1 anyway. We've got a 6, so that's D3. That's 2. 5 hits total. Wounding on 3s, 4.
4 plus saves. Made 3 of them. And then 6 plus to ignore damage. No, so Hex Wraith will die.
And the prime, 3 attacks, which hit twice, and reroll, hit 3 times. Wounding on 3s, 2.
4 plus save. Made both. 1 remaining regular Hex Wraith will die, leaving just the Hell Wraith. So the Spirit Host will go next, and they weren't quite in base contact over here, so they're all going to sort of pile in along so that 2 of them can get into the Night Questor, and then this one at the end, the wounded one has to fight the Judicators. So we've got 12 attacks on the Night Questor, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, 6s do mortal wounds. Oh, there's 2 6s in there. I'll reroll that 1 while I'm here, getting another hit, so that's 3 regular hits. That wound on 4s, getting 1.
3 plus save, rerolling. Rerolling. No, to a 1, so 3 damage.
Down to 2. And the other Spirit Host attacking the Judicators. 6 attacks, hitting on 5s. So we got 2 mortal wounds and a hit, and then 3 1s. Reroll the 1s. Oh, getting nothing at all. So 2 mortal wounds and a hit. Wounds on a 4. It does.
Judicators have a 4 plus save, which I failed. So this one here will die. Then this one will take a wound. Well, I better pick the Night Questor before he gets killed by the Night Shrouds. He'll put all his attacks on the Night Shrouds. 4 attacks hitting on 3s, rerolling. Oh, never mind. And wounding on 3s, 6 extra damage. No extra damage, but 3 wounds.
Yeah, still need to make at least one of these. 4 plus save, or failed. Gonna have to ignore some of these then.
Hit 6 damage because of the relic.
Yeah, ignoring on 6s. None. So he takes 6 damage and dies. I only rolled 5 dice, but that's enough to kill him.
And that's 4 victory points for the Stormcast, because he was the...
1 for destroying a unit and 3 for killing the artefact bearer. And then it's my pick, where the Hell Wraith is going to have to try and kill some Judicators. 2 attacks with a scythe, hitting on 4s, 6s do a mortal wound. That's 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds.
5 plus save. No. Rerolling 1s because I do have shield still in the unit, fortunately. No, still failed though, so we do lose the 1 wounded Great Mace.
Yeah, so that's 2 damage so far. 2 attacks on the horse. Hitting on 4s, gets a hit. Wounds on a 5. No.
Yeah, so this one is killed and the wound goes on the other mace. I will do the Judicators next, I think. So the Judicators will pile in, making sure there's still an inch between, or less than an inch between the prime and this one, because if this one dies, we don't want them having to run away in the battle shock phase because of broken coherency. So 4 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 4 hits, and wounding on 4s, nothing. Then the Knight Azeroth is just about still within 3 inches of the remaining Hex Wraiths, but not the Spirit Host, so I will have to pile into him, but I'll do that. 4 attacks hitting on 3s, we've got 3 hits, wounding on 3s, 2.
4 plus save, make both. That's going to be it for that turn. Also the end of the battle round, no battle shock phase needed. Rolling off at the start of battle round 3, I got a 4.
I lost.
I'm going to go first, on to Nighthaunt turn 3. So my movement phase, the Lord Executioner and the Spirit Torment are going to move up, while the remaining Hex Wraith will run and then retreat from the Judicators, but he's going to fly over them while he's doing that, so on a 5 plus they can take a mortal wound. Does he do a mortal wound? He does not. Then in the charge phase, the Lord Executioner is going to charge He gets a 12, easily enough. And the Spirit Torment will charge as well, getting a 10. They're just going to play it safe and charge the Judicators. And then in the combat phase, I'm going to pick the Spirit Host to go first. And these two will put their attacks on the Night Questor, and the other one will put his attacks on the Judicators. 12 attacks on the Night Questor, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, 6s do mortal wounds. Well, there's 2 6s in there, so that's going to be enough to kill him.
So unfortunately he gets mortal wounded to death.
And that's a victory point, bringing me up to 2. 6 attacks from the remaining Spirit Host. Again, hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s, 6s do mortal wounds. We got a mortal wound and 2 1s. Oh, they get another mortal wound, so just 2 damage.
So this one has to die. What a wound on this one over on the end. Yeah, that is the one with the shot bolt bow, but he'd end up running away anyway if I took away the middle one in the battle shock phase. Then the Judicators get to go. The wounded one will attack the Spirit Torment, and the other 2 have to attack the Spirit Host. So on the Spirit Torment, 1 attack hitting on 3. He is within 10 of the Night Azeroth, so can reroll that into a hit. Wounds on 4. No. 2 attacks on the Spirit Hosts, which both hit on 6. Wound on 4s, they both wound.
4 plus save. Made 1 failed roll. No damage on 6. Nope. So, Spirit Host is killed. Actually, I'll do the Lord Executioner first, because he's going to be slightly more annoying to get back into range if the Judicators near him get killed. So the Lord Executioner has 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s because of the Spirit Torment. He got 2 hits, and these wound on 3s and 6s do 3 damage. Oh, he got a 6, an ordinary hit.
And then minus 2 Ren, so 6 is to save. I'll do this 3 damage, nope, and the normal one, nope, so 4 damage. So that kills off this one, and this one, and there's an extra wound which goes on the Prime.
And then the Spirit Torment gets to go. And he's just going to move in a smidge, because he's got a 2-inch weapon range to attack the Judicator Prime. So we've got 3 attacks from the Spirit Torment, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits. Wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds, minus 2 rend as well.
Double 6? No. That's the Judicators wiped out.
And that's another victory point for the Nighthaunt. Then in the Battle Shock phase, I get to use the Spirit Torment's ability. Definitely kill more than 3 Stormcast a turn. I'm going to use it on the Hex Wraiths, because they're slightly easier to bring one back. So I can restore D3 wounds, so I need to roll 2 or more to restore a Hex Wraith. I did not, so nothing happens. On to Stormcast turn 3.
I've only got 3 models left, but if I kill 1 Nighthaunt unit, the best they can get is a draw, so we will try that. So the Night Azeroth is going to move to there. He's going to try and finish off the lone Hex Wraith for a victory point. And the Sequitors ran, I just used command point to turn it into a 6 because I've got loads. They're going to over here, mainly to try and get away from the Nighthaunt heroes, because the Spirit Host may or may not kill them if they can charge them. I might be able to tie the Spirit Host down, and the heroes are quite a long way away. Then we're going to be on to the charge phase, where the Night Azeroth will charge. So his charge roll is a 7. That should be enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, that's enough to go there. It does bring the Spirit Host in, but that actually ties them down in the next turn, so not necessarily about the worst thing. On to the combat phase, he'll put all of his attacks on the Hex Wraith. 4 attacks hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Well, they all hit. Wounding on 3s, 3 wounds.
3 4 plus saves. Made 1 of them. Gonna have to try and shrug this on a 6. No! Hex Wraith is killed. And that'll be a victory point for the Stormcast. And then the Spirit Hosts get to go, so they'll pile in around the Night Azeroth. 12 attacks, hitting on 5s. Rerolling wounds, 6s do mortal wounds. Well, there's only 1 6 so far, and 1 1, which I'll reroll into a miss, and then there's 4 regular hits. 4 regular hits which wound on 4s, getting 1.
He's a 3 plus save, which he made, so he takes only 1 damage.
Night Azeroth is down to 4 wounds.
But that's the end of my turn.
Yep, and the end of the battle round. So rolling off for the final battle round. Well, I get to go first again, as we go into Nighthaunt turn 4. So in moment phase, Spirit Torment's going to move around, possibly try and get the Secators, and then the Lord Executioner is just going to move up closest to the Night Azeroth, and the Spirit Host will stay in combat with him. And in the charge phase, I'll do the Spirit Torment first. Needs a pretty decent roll, i.e. not 2, so I'll re-roll that. Ooh, a 9, that's enough to definitely get in range of the Secators. So yeah, he will go to there. And then the Lord Executioner will charge the Night Azeroth. And the Lord Executioner will charge. Well, you got 3 on the dice. Yeah, 6 is going to be enough. And that gets him into the Night Azeroth. So at the start of the combat phase, the Lord Executioner will use his Staring in the Face of Death ability to give the Night Azeroth -1 to hit.
Well, the Sequitors do have a shield, but I'm saving on 6s, so I'll do power to weapons, I think.
I will pick the Spirit Torment to go first. He has 3 attacks hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Good thing he can reroll 1s. He got 2 hits. And these wound on 3s, getting 2 wounds.
So 6 is to save. Neither of them.
2d3 damage. 4/4. That's enough to kill the Secretors.
And then the Knight Azeroth gets to go. He'll attack the Spirit Host because he can kill one of them. He can't kill the Lord Executioner. He doesn't do enough damage. 4 attacks on 3s. They all hit. Wounding on 3s. Can't kill a Spirit Host with that. Just 1 wound.
Doesn't matter what I roll. Oh, I made my arm save. I'll do the Spirit Host next. 12 attacks from the Spirit Host. Hitting on 5s. Rerolling 1s. 6s do mortal wounds. There's 2 6s in there so far. And a 1 that can be re-rolled. 2 regular hits. Wound on 4s. Getting a wound.
With 3+ save. Oh, failed.
Down to 1. And then the Lord Executioner's got to finish the job. 3 attacks hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. You roll the 1, into a miss. 2 hits. Wounding on 3s. 2 ordinary hits.
2 5+ saves. Failed 1.
Now the Knight Azeroth is killed. And that's a victory point for the Nighthaunt.
Yeah. So unfortunately, he does die. There's no Stormcast model left.
Yeah, so unfortunately that is a draw. Don't get any victory points for wiping out the enemy. So I'll recap those games for you now. So that was the game for issue 63 of Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine. How did you think that went?
Well, the result was totally not representative of how the game went, I think. I got very lucky. It was technically a draw, but definitely a moral victory there because, well, firstly, I got tabled, and secondly, you just had the run of the whole game, apart from failing the wrong save rolls, basically. You made almost all of your save rolls in the early part of the game. I just couldn't do any damage to you.
Yeah, Knight of Shrouds is basically the only model that did poorly. If the Knight of Shrouds had lived, I think I would have been very comfortable.
About other things, like if I hadn't taken that unit of Secretors, probably would have lost because nothing else could have stood up to a unit of Hexwraiths and beaten them.
Retributors, maybe?
Maybe Retributors, but certainly not like Liberators or anything like that, or Prosecutors. And you killed the Lord-Relictor before he could do anything at all. If I'd had his ability to either heal wounds or do mortal wounds, I would have definitely had an advantage in the later parts of the game.
Fairly lucky, though. Basically, the Spirit Host did all the work. I think they did 14 out of 15 wounds to your heroes, and killed 2 Judicators at least as well. But then again, Spirit Torment and Spirit Host is pretty handy to have those extra rerolls. There's fish for 6s.
The Knight Azeroth's re-rolling was helpful, but he didn't do much damage apart from... Even his Lantern didn't do that much. You made a couple of 6s, I think, as well.
Yeah, I got a couple of ignores that were handy, keeping extra models alive.
And the Night Questor, although... I mean, yes, he did kill the Knight of Shrouds, but that was because of your rolling for saves rather than because he did particularly well himself, and then he just got killed by Spirit Hosts. He's pretty good with that extra damage relic, I think, because his problem has always been he doesn't do enough damage, but 4 attacks, having 2 damage on all those attacks makes him quite powerful.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good on probably any of your heroes. It's probably more so the 1 damage ones.
Yeah, well, actually, all 3 of these heroes have basically the same melee ability. So any of them would have benefited from 2 damage. I went for the Night Questor just because I thought he was the most likely to be a frontline fighter and also the most likely to kill your artefact bearer.
In hindsight, I would have taken the Black Amulet and just used that to snipe one of your units and then put it on the Spirit Torment or something. That would have given me way more victory points. I mean, effectively, the 4 probably would have been enough to snipe the heroes. But I think, the Relic Blade and the Phoenix Stone, I think it's called, the one that lets you regenerate wounds, is probably the 2 best options for you. The Quicksilver Potion. There probably will be some cases where you'll wish you had it, but the other 2 are going to be far more useful in the long term, I think.
Yeah, the Quicksilver Potion is situational. It's only useful if your hero gets charged, really, and you want to fight before whatever charged him, but that's not necessarily going to happen that often. Yeah, quite often heroes are tough enough to survive at least 1 round of attack anyway, so whereas the other 2 are useful all the time, as you say. Whereas
for mine, the Cloak of Shadows would probably have been useful in this game, because I could basically get free movement every combat phase for one of your heroes, so it'd be really handy for something like Guardian of Souls and the Spirit Torment for getting their auras into range, and out of range of enemy units, because you can use it in combat. Maybe even a more combat-heavy hero, just to get extra free movement. But yeah, the Tomb Blade's probably actually the worst one, actually, since it only works on a 6 to wound. Not really sure why I picked it, to be honest, in hindsight. And the Black Amulet, I think the main issue will be keeping the bearer alive long enough to use it.
Yeah, but if you did give it to someone like a Guardian of Souls who sits in the back, so you get less chance of being injured.
It has a relatively short range, unfortunately.
Yeah, it would have been very useful in this game to be able to do damage late in the game, but there are some games where the game was decided in the first couple of battle rounds where 1 or 2 mortal wounds isn't going to make much of a difference. So.
Also in this game, since the victory points, a game for destroying units as well. It's also worth noting that characters like Rykonor and the Briar Queen and Avron Stormsire can't be given relics as well. As tempting as it would be to give Rykonor a decent weapon, he can't have it, unfortunately. He's already too good.
And then Judicators. Unfortunately, I probably won't pick them that often because with the weapons they have and against the opponent they're facing, the Castigators are probably almost always better.
Yeah, the Judicators, they're unfortunately a bit like the Liberators where the older Stormcast stuff was all set up for fighting Chaos. So it's going to pale in comparison to all the Sacrosanct Chamber stuff fighting against Undead. I think one of the supplements did come with some Chaos units, so I guess they'd be useful in that game. Maybe they show up then. Also, the Castigators are part of the Hellstorm battery.
And Castigators also have the option to increase their rend against things that aren't Nighthaunt. So the fact that these guys have rend with these bows isn't necessarily a downside. I suppose the only benefit with this magazine is that you only get 4 castigators in a unit on the lists we pick our armies from, whereas 5 guys is 2 more wounds and an extra shot. And the shotbolt bow actually, like in the first turn when I actually got 9 hits with it.
And the longer range can be handy. It's more useful on the larger boards, I imagine. But
yeah, so I might take them. I mean, I will take them occasionally just for variety, but they're probably not my go-to thing. But we'll see.
And the crossbow variant might actually have been useful in this game because it's such a small board, but I imagine most of the time that extra shot isn't, I'm not sure it's going to be that useful unless the Judicators are in melee with something, but then they're probably not going to want to be in melee.
Yeah, obviously the crossbows do have much shorter range, which I'm not sure whether that's generally good, but against Nighthaunt I don't think it's that much of a problem because they don't really have much of range firepower anyway, so they're always going to end up getting close.
Yeah, and the rend from the bows doesn't matter either.
Yeah, exactly. The best way to deal with Nighthaunt is actually lots of attacks because they ignore rend, so I think the crossbows would be better.
And the mortal wound crossbow, don't know how useful that would be against the Nighthaunt because there aren't very many monsters and you're only going to have a 1 in 6 chance of damaging a hero. Most of my units are still only 5 models. Yeah, I guess it'd be useful against Harridans and Blade Guys Revenants and stuff.
Well, even if you're going to unit 5 Harridans, it's a 5 in 6 chance to do d6 mortal wounds. It could actually kill more or do enough damage that the rest of the unit's bows could finish them off.
Yeah,
So.
quite like the models. They're fairly quick to paint because they don't have all the cloth and stuff. Well, they're kind of boring to be honest since they're just liberators with bows.
They look good when they're ranked up with all the bows pointing in the same direction. But yeah, to me they suffer the same problem as all the old Stormcast, is that they're all just a bit faceless and all a bit the same, which doesn't really fit the sort of hero aesthetic that they've gone with some of the later Stormcast models.
Yeah, and I followed the instructions in the magazine. Probably make more sense to give the shotbolt bow to the prime because he hits on a 2. Also make it more obvious which one it is. And I also wanted to give them bows just a little bit of variety because you get another unit with crossbows. Or I suppose you give them crossbows to make them all the same, but whatever. But other than that, I don't think there's too much more to say about this game or this issue, so if you like this content, do leave a like and subscribe and leave any comments you'd like to make. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.